Hello Libra, Elsie here to do your reading. It is for the week ahead, Libra. Let's find out what energies are coming up for you in the week ahead. Libra, you know that I read that way if you've been here before. If you are brand new, welcome here. I hope you will stay. I hope you will subscribe. Thank you for the thumbs up if that's what you're going to do with your time. I appreciate it always. And so I got these oracles here. I'm going to throw down the oracles for the overall energy for the week ahead. And then we are going to look at some tarot. So Libra, how are you, my beautiful creatives? Thanks so much for clicking here, whether you're new or whether you've been here before. If you are interested in an extension, I will be extending this reading. You will have the information at the end of this video about how to get to my private reads or the extension. Let's find out what's going on for you, Libra. Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, and Jupiter. Tell me about Libra. Libra, we have the end of a tough cycle approaches, the full moon in Capricorn. Full moon in Capricorn indicates to me that you've been on some sort of very structured path and that it's been a really hard one. Feels like you've stuck to the rules or you've stuck to the path, but I don't feel like it's been a very easy time for you. It does feel like that moving forward into the future here is what you want. At first, it feels like you must release something because full moons are always about release. So I feel like you are on the tail end of some sort of a really tough cycle. So I'm just going to say this, which I didn't remember to say at the beginning, was the whole intent for this reading this week for everybody, for all the signs, is that we're looking at now that we're into the new cycle, what can you expect from the new cycle? Because we just had a new moon in Cancer, which is just on the 25th of June. So what can you expect in this new cycle? I think that you can expect that things are going to get easier. I'm going to say things are going to get really easier. I think that you've had to follow a plan or a really hard schedule of some sort, and it's been really tough. And I feel like the end of that is approaching. One more card. We've got change. Good. This is positive change. Now, I mean, change isn't easy whenever it comes, but I feel like in this particular case, it feels like this is what you've been looking forward to. You've been looking forward to the sun. I feel like you've been looking forward to the brightness of day, to the sun, because you've been in the energy of the moon. And I feel like you've been releasing things or letting things go or putting things in their place or organizing things, staying on task. And I think it's been very exhausting to do so. And one more card for you, and then we'll get to the tarot. Tell me more about Libra, please. Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, and Jupiter. Tell me about Libra. We've got success. So I feel like you are going to have changes in success. It says, I know that there is no greater goal than to love. And I think that it's not just romantic love we're talking about. It's like loving what you do, loving your family, loving your friends. It all comes down to love. It's loving the self. It all comes down to love. So I feel like you want to be successful in all of those areas, but there has to be a change first. And I think first you have to get out of the hard work. I want to say that something's not been a whole lot of fun. And I do know that Capricorns are fun. I do have fun Capricorn friends, but I feel like Capricorn being the taskmaster is kind of like the one who is always planning, like we're planning from now until the end of the year and we're going to stay on track and we're not going to veer from the path. And so I think that it's been really hard to stick to some sort of schedule that's been arduous. And I feel like you are going to have success here, but it's going to take some change. I feel like some change is coming, but I think it's welcome change, to be honest with you. Bottom of the deck, we have South Node. It says, don't let your past hold you back, South Node. So I feel like this cycle is new. I'm going to say this is a new cycle, new things are happening, and I feel like you shouldn't compare whatever's going on now and in the future to whatever went on in the past. I feel like South Node will hold you back. South Node is usually your past life energy. So don't let whatever you didn't accomplish in the past hold you back from whatever you can accomplish that is coming in the future. We have transformation. And so I feel like you are about to come out of the chrysalis. You are about to show people your wings. It feels like there is some sort of transformation going on. And I think it might be in the mind for some of you because you are Libra and we are looking at South Node. So it feels like that something in the past is like it's holding you back. Maybe there was a certain something you didn't have success with in the past, and you felt that the only way you could have success is if you followed someone else's plan. I feel like it's time to follow your own plan, but I think that there is a fear, a little bit of a fear. It says, I realize that I am testing my resolve to live in the energy of love. Now look, this one says, I know that there is no greater goal than to love. So I feel like what's changing is how you feel about yourself, how you feel about others. I feel like something here is transforming, and I feel like maybe in the past you were afraid or had fear of moving forward into the future, but I feel like it's a different time now. Something has changed within you. It might be your mind. Let's look at the tarot and see what the tarot says. Let's find out what's going on for Libra, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, and Jupiter. Tell me about Libra. What do we need to know about Libra for the week ahead, please? The end of a tough cycle approaches. We have the Queen of Cups in the reverse. We have the Seven of Wands, and we have the Five of Wands. I feel like this has been a really hard emotional cycle for you, and the end of that tough cycle is approaching. It feels like there was a lot of crying or a lot of overly emotional moments, times when you felt like you had no control over your emotions. It feels like with this Five of Wands, Seven of Wands energy, it feels like you are now sort of, I'm going to say, like standing up for yourself. There's no more and I'm not saying that crying is wrong. What I'm saying is I feel like if you get overly emotional and you allow the emotions to take over, then you really can't take action, because you're kind of in this place of your nervous system breaking down. So I feel like you get more stability here with the Seven of Wands and the Five of Wands. Even though the Five of Wands is indecision, I feel like the Seven of Wands is telling me you stand up for yourself, even though you don't know which way you're going or what you're going to be doing. It feels like this this cycle is probably something that is at the end of this cycle that you're going to feel very emotional about or overly emotional about. It feels like no control over the emotions. Tell me about change. Tell me about what's going on here. What is about to change for Libra? We have the Fool in the reverse. We have the Hermit energy, and we have the Nine of Pentacles. I feel like the change that's coming here it feels a little bit scary, I'm going to say, because the Fool in the reverse is like, but if it does change and it doesn't work out, am I going to look a fool? It feels like this Hermit energy and the Nine of Pentacles is trying to back you up, giving you a little bit of stability. Look, if you go slow, if you really look over the situation, if you really get into the analytics of the self and go over the self-evaluation, it feels like you might be ready to take some sort of a leap of faith. I feel like this is your worry. Your worry is, if I take a leap of faith, am I going to feel foolish? I don't think that foolish stuff is something you have to worry about, because the Nine of Pentacles is here. And this is somebody who is quite planned. I want to say that this Capricorn energy has really trained you to build yourself pentacle by pentacle. It's given you a lot of confidence. It's given you a lot of direction and given you a lot of structure. And so it feels like this Hermit energy is a place that you go to get a little bit of alone time or solace, or go over the self-audit, take a look at, am I doing what I should be doing? Am I okay? It feels like you are checking in with yourself, but it also is, finding your way through the dark by yourself with nothing but the light that comes after the tower. So it feels like, the light that comes after the tower is the energy that's in the lamp here, card number 17, which is the star. So I feel like you have been walking through the dark by yourself. It feels like you're scared that you're going to mess up or do something that is not going to be favorable for your life. But look, you've got the Nine of Pentacles here. I feel like you're finding your way through the dark by yourself, because I think this is a bit of a test. Can you handle the change? And I think you can, because you come out of the other side of this dark tunnel in transformation, is what it feels like. And you've had some success here. Tell me about this. We've got the Page of Cups. We've got the Seven of Swords. And we've got the King of Cups. We've got the 10 of Cups on the bottom of the deck. Why? Because of judgment. You're going to decide to be happy. There's something here that you've been holding back from, and it's time to move forward. It's time to leave something in the past and change the way you look at something. It feels like you need to change your mind or you need to change your path, but it feels like the universe is giving you a chance to leave something behind, the old you, and transform yourself, have some sort of a resurrection into the new you or into the new life. And I feel like what you're leaving behind is this really emotionally upsetting cycle that you've been through. It might be a financial cycle. Capricorn is all about the money too. It might be a hard financial cycle, but it feels like you're now building some boundaries and you're standing up for yourself. And although you don't have all the answers with the 5 of Wands, a little bit of hesitation, maybe a little bit of indecision within the self, I feel like you're no longer comparing yourself to who you were back there. I think that you are going to be happy with who you are becoming. I think you're starting to be happy with who you are becoming, which is the 9 of Pentacles, which is solid and by myself. I'm confident and I'm building something. It might be a business. It might be your confidence. It might be your reputation. Whatever it is, I feel like you spent a long time in hermit energy, walking through the dark and trying to find your light or trying to heal. Maybe it's a dark night of the soul, possibly, that you've been wandering about in the dark. I think that you're worried about how people view you from the outside looking in, but look, everybody goes through change. I think you need to buy yourself a break, because although it feels like this to you, it probably doesn't look like that to everyone else. It actually looks like this to everyone else. I think that you're making it look easy, even though it's super, super hard to go through a dark night of the soul or to wander around in the dark with very little light until you finally come to a place of transformation where the chrysalis busts open and you do come out as the butterfly. It feels like you're going to come out standing on your feet. You're going to come out, like cat always lands on its feet. Like it feels like that. You're going to land on your feet, but I feel like it's going to feel a little bit awkward and maybe overly emotional while you're trying to get through this hard cycle. So I feel like this new cycle is going to be a little bit easier for you because we've got success. We've got the Page of Cups, which is good news that is showing up. We've got some things that are now under the surface. And although the 7 of Swords can be a little bit of, maybe I'm not necessarily telling people that there's hard things under the surface. I feel like this King of Cups is, to me, telling me that you are, you've still got some things going on under the surface that are maybe quite tumultuous, because the King of Cups is sturdy, but also sturdy in a storm. I feel like you are becoming emotionally intelligent. So instead of sort of in this energy of the Queen of Cups where you're overly emotional and have no control over your emotions, by the end of all of this here, you come to this place where you are in control of your emotions, because that's what emotionally intelligent people do. So it feels like you have success that's coming up here. And let's clarify just a little bit before we go into the extended. Let's find out what else is going on here. Tell me more about Libra, please. Tell me about the changes that are coming up for Libra. Well, you know what? First, we'll talk about the end of the tough cycle that's approaching here, because I think this is a very emotional time, the end of this tough cycle. Whatever it was, financial, or you had to follow what somebody else told you to do. You had to follow someone else's schedule, stay on point, never be late. It feels like whatever this is, it was a very hard cycle for you. We have the Page of Pentacles. We have the Page of Wands. And we have the King of Swords. It may have been a job. It may have been a job that you just weren't happy with. It feels like that there is somebody at the helm, if this is a job, that they're like, look, my word is the last word. There's nobody above me that you can talk to. It's this person who, absolute power corrupts when you have just one person who's at the helm, who's making the decisions for everyone and has no one to keep them in check. I feel like this person was like a King of Swords for you. They were like, my word is gold. You need to follow what I say. I'm the one that's creating the path. Get on the path and do what I say. Stay on schedule. Don't mess up. Like, I feel like there was somebody here who was quite a taskmaster. And so it does feel like it could be a job you really didn't like, but a job that was, it's always the Page of Pentacles that works the hardest, right? Because it's like the people who make the least work the hardest. The people that make the most, they work the least. And so, I feel like this Page of Pentacles tells me that maybe you were in an entry-level position if it was a job here, Libra. It feels like you needed more leeway. that you are someone who is creative with a creative mind, or you just like the freedom, I'm going to say. But the Page of Wands is somebody who's just like throwing their wand in the air and saying, okay, that's where I'll go. Wherever my wand lands, that's where I will go. I need a new path. So I feel like you just needed to get out from under this taskmaster. I feel like this person had you I feel like you were out of control of your emotions while you're around this person. I feel like they were saying tough things to you, really hard things. Maybe they would be considered as rude. And I feel like it was really hard on your psyche. Feels like it was hard on your mental health, probably, or definitely your emotional health. Tell me more about this. I feel like you finally stand up for yourself here, by the way. Yep, we got the Empress. I feel like they were treating you like a page, but I feel like you were an Empress. But understand, I think that the King of Swords was the one who was trying to tell you that you weren't worth much. Meanwhile, you knew your worth. I feel like you knew your worth, that you were very much grounded. And I feel like you decided to have hope. I've just got to build a boundary with this person. This person could be a friend. They could be a father or a mother or a sister or a brother, or it could be an employer. Take it as it resonates for you. But somebody here didn't see your worth. And just because somebody doesn't see your worth, it doesn't mean you don't have worth. I feel like you finally stand up for yourself here. And although you really don't know where you're going after this, and maybe you leave the friendship, leave the family, move out of your parents' place, or leave the job, you don't really know where you're going from here. But I feel like you cannot repeat the past. And I feel like that's the most important thing for you, is not repeating the past. Yeah, I like this. The Magician energy is here. The Four of Wands is here. Yeah, you are moving forward here. You're moving forward away from this Devil energy, which I feel had you trapped in a mindset that you didn't have any worth. And I think when you finally caught on, it was when you decided to stand up for yourself and go. And then you realized, look, I am the Empress, feminine or masculine. I do have all the tools and the resources, the Magician energy, and I do have stability. I can rejoice now that I'm away from here, and I can create stability for myself. It feels like you have doubt, of course, because I feel like you've been under the rule of someone else for so long, but I feel like change comes to save you. And although you feel like you're doing everything wrong, the Fool is in the reverse, and this is a very risky move that you've done here. I feel like you would rather have change and feel a fool than stay in the position that you were in, because I feel like whoever this was a bit of a tyrant, or was, and maybe they even weren't a tyrant. Maybe they were just a person who just feels like they can say anything to anyone. And I feel like a lot of it was very cutting for you. And so it felt like a little bit out of control, like someone else was in control of you and your emotions. Tell me about the change, please. So we've got the Ten of Swords, and I kind of like that the Ten of Swords is coming up on change, because that means that although it was painful to go, you don't know where you're going. You're a little bit confused as to what comes next, but you don't want to repeat the past because you've transformed. It feels like this Ten of Swords energy is finally releasing something, just letting it go and moving on. The Six of Swords, I really love that. And then we have the Death card. You're never going to let somebody put you in that situation again. And so I feel like it feels like somebody left a job, and I don't really know what I'm doing from here, but it feels like I had to get out of this place where somebody was killing my creativity, telling me that I was nothing, trying to make me think that I wasn't the Empress. It feels like you had somebody, maybe it was a marriage, maybe it was a relationship, but it feels like somebody was trying to change your mind and make you feel like less than what you were. So I feel like this is your path to healing. And even though the Fool is in the reverse and you don't really know what you're doing, you're taking a leap of faith or a complete risk. You just know that with the Death card here, that this change is permanent. You're never going to let someone do that to you again. Tell me about this here. We've got the Five of Swords. We've got the King of Cups. One more. We've got the Six of Cups. So I feel like you are, with the Five of Swords and the Fool here, that it's a case of, I don't know where I'm going from here, but I just got to go. It's the best thing for your mental health, for your emotional health. I think that when you finally do get out of the clutches of whoever I'm speaking about, that is the King of Swords, I feel like what this situation taught you is how to be the King of Cups, is how I feel like it's it's a memory. It's now stuck in your memory bank. That I feel like you become the King of Cups. You become emotionally available, right? You become somebody who's emotionally intelligent. And even when people disagree with you, I feel like you don't want to be like this person who is like really harsh with their words and very biting and cutting with the things that they said. I feel like even when people disagree with you, that you have grown into being the King of Cups, that you've learned this being a little bit more compassionate than a person who dealt with you in a very different way. I feel like the Six of Cups, it tells me that it's in your memory bank now. It's like, I'm never going to be that way. I'm never going to treat people that way. I just don't even want to be anything like that anymore. I feel like it turns you into the Nine of Pentacles. That feels like the transformation here, that you do build something on your own, whether it is you build yourself back up again, your confidence, your reputation, your finances, maybe you start a business, whatever it is. I feel like you now are on the road to repair. In fact, way better than you were when you started over here. We're going to go into the extended and we're going to talk about this. There is success coming for you here, and I feel like you don't really see that what's contributing to your success is that you've turned into the King of Cups, whether you're feminine or masculine. There is some good news coming here, or an opportunity, or something that's going to shock or surprise you in your success, so we're going to talk about that as well. And I think that your fears are going to be put to sleep, and there's going to be no more fears, because I feel like there's some success that is showing up for you here, even though you can't see it, or you're scared of it, or you're worried that maybe someone is going to cheat or steal or deceive you. I feel like we should talk about that and give you some sort of tools to get through this energy here. We do have the Nine of Wands. I think that's why you ended up leaving the situation you were in. Whatever type of situation that was in is because of the Nine of Wands. I think you were just burnt out. I think you didn't care if you went home and slept for a week and didn't have money for rent. I think you just needed to get out of there. And so I feel like now you're headed for this Ten of Cups. It was the decision you needed to make in order to have the emotional apex of happiness. And I feel like that you had held back for so long, even though, I think someone had made you feel like you didn't know your worth. I feel like you held back from doing the thing that the Empress would do. Part of the Empress is the Queen of Wands, making a big, bold move. I feel like the Judgment finally said to you, look, you got to do something different than you ever did in order to get something different than you ever got. If you want to be happy, you've got to go. So I'm going to go to the extended. If you want to go and watch in the extended with us there's quite a few of us over there. You can go to the comment section. Please go to the top of the comment section. There's a pinned link there, and it does have the link to the membership area. Also, in that pinned comment, there is a link to my private reading area. If you're interested in booking a private reading, I do have one private reading that will come back to you in 48 hours. Just one question, no backstory. I'll get that off to you in a couple of days. And I do live readings now, as well as pre-recorded readings. And if you're interested in a private reading, please go take a look at my pricing by clicking on the link for Hypsee. I'm going to go to the extended, and this is where we part. That's cool, because I'm always going to be back for you, right? Libra, I'm always going to be back. I'll be back next week with another reading. You guys take care of yourself and be well. Bye-bye.